I was born, the nurses all gathered round, and they gazed in wide wonder at the joy they had found. The head nurse spoke up, said, leave this one alone. She could tell right away that I was bad to the bone, bad to the bone, bad to the bone.
All right, Billy Cunningham joining me again for the second time in about 2 years is Sarah Jones. And Sarah, welcome again to the Bill Cunningham Show.
Thanks for having me.
Let's go back a little bit in time. We know what happened with the mistrial. Let's go back to high school and college, and I want to paint an accurate picture of the person that you are. Where'd you go to high school? Where'd you go to college?
I graduated from Simon Kenton High School in 2003, and I went on to Northern Kentucky University and graduated in 2008 with the middle grades education, double major in mathematics and English.
So you had your degree.
Yes.
And you began your teaching.
Uh-huh.
Much like your mother, who spent 30 years in education, you wanted to be a teacher.
Yes.
Why?
It was just something, I had been around it with my family. Being raised by a teacher, you see how great it is to, have the summers off with your kids and be in the classroom. And it's a tough job and it's extremely stressful, but it was something that I was raised with and that I always wanted to do.
Spent years and years studying, learning, became a teacher.
Yes, there's nothing else I ever wanted to do besides teaching.
And then you became a Bengal cheerleader.
I became a Bengal before I became a teacher.
Explain that process. You were down there with couple of my good friends. And
yeah, I tried out when I was 20 years old, and I played basketball, varsity basketball, all 4 years of high school, and graduated top 20 in my class, and was not expecting to be a cheerleader, but had to have 4 shoulder surgeries. I got hurt in a basketball game and decided to try out for the Bengals. And first year trying out, I made it. So
you made it.
Yeah.
So, and how many years were you a Bengal?
I was on the Bengals for 6 seasons, and I was head captain my 5th and 6th season.
All right, now this was kind of private matter, but up to the point that you were married, you became married to a gentleman, and this is before Dirty.com, and during the time you were a Bengal cheerleader, you became married, correct?
Yes, sir. We were high school sweethearts. We dated since he was a junior and I was a senior.
Some have pictured you as like a hoe, a slut, you're a woman. The allegations, which are wrong, defamatory, and disgusting. But how would you picture your activities relative to those areas previous to the time you got married?
That kind of contradicts myself, because what I know I am, I was only with one person, so I know it's kind of tough to talk about, but my personal life's been thrown out there. I didn't lose my virginity until I was 21. So I had dated somebody for years before I had taken that next step. Was going to wait till I was married, and just ended up getting, being with the wrong person, and knew it the whole time. He was very, wasn't a good person to be with at all, and we constantly, it was a struggle to stay together. We broke up after I'd found out that he had cheated on me with over 50 women.
How many?
Over 50, yes.
So he's married Sarah Jones, Bengal cheerleader, and you're a virgin when you get married. He's cheating with you with 50 guys.
Well, 50 girls.
50 girls.
That changes the story a little bit, yes.
Yeah, it does. 50 girls. And
yes.
you were completely in the dark about this. So you were deceived during a large part of your marriage.
Well, we weren't married at that time. We had just been dating. We didn't get married until 2011. But yeah, the entire relationship, had no idea what was going on, and then found out later in the relationship after it was too late, and that's who I'd planned on being with. So not a good situation.
And the marriage was short, and it was somewhat traumatic for you, correct?
It was very short-lived. I was married July 16th, 2011, and I was separated August 24th, 2011. It was a few weeks.
So we're talking about 4 or 5 weeks.
Yeah, but before I even got married, I knew it wasn't right.
Why did you go through with it then?
Going down the aisle, my dad said, "Are you sure? Are you sure you want to do this? Do you really want to follow through with this?" My family wasn't supportive, but they were only being supportive, because it's something that they thought I wanted. I didn't, honestly, after the Dirty.com posted I had two STDs, I literally did not think anybody else was going to want me. Who wants to date somebody that the internet says they have 2 STDs and that they were sexually promiscuous with an entire football team? It doesn't look too appealable to the other gender.
So as far as the Dirty.com stuff, how did this guy named Richie, disgusting human being, how did he even get your name? How did he know you existed among all the NFL cheerleaders? There's got to be hundreds, if not thousands. How did he get the name Sarah Jones?
To this day, I still have no idea who posted me. TheDirty.com is a website who basically is a dumping ground. You can go on there, you can send in, if you don't like anybody, if you get into a fight with your ex-husband or ex-wife or ex-girlfriend or anything like that, you can send somebody's picture in and write whatever you want on the post and he'll post it. And he says that he only posts things that he believes to be are true. So in October of 2009, he had posted that I had slept with the entire Bengals football squad, and I panicked. That was just the first posting, and I begged him. I wrote him over, at that point in time from that posting, over 15 emails begging him to take it down.
Take it down because it's false.
Not true.
It's in fact, for you as a virginal woman to be told that you're sleeping with 70 or 80 guys.
It was disgusting to me.
Completely disgusting.
And I was a teacher.
Charlotte Jacobs, who's the cheerleader captain, has a rule about fraternizing with the football players. So you broke that rule. Plus, as a teacher of young adults, the last thing you want to do is people think that you're a slut of some type or another.
I had students come to me, parents call the school. The cheerleaders, obviously, it was an issue because, you sleep with a player, you're off the team. So it was very devastating to my personal life. It was kind of like I was thrown into this whirlwind, and I have no idea who posted it, and to this day, I don't know. And, I decided to ignore that one because it says I had slept with all the Bengals players. I begged him to take it down. He wouldn't. I moved on. But it wasn't until the December posting that I had to decide to go forward, because that is when he specified that I had 2 STDs and that I had sex in my classroom at Dixie Heights High School. Completely false statements.
He accused you of having what, chlamydia and herpes?
He accused me of having that I had, from a cheating boyfriend, chlamydia and gonorrhea, and that I had contracted the disease from the boyfriend, and that I had sex with him on the football field, on the basketball court, and in my classroom of Dixie Heights High School, which I have proof of medical records from the time I was 18, that I have never had any STDs, let alone chlamydia and gonorrhea. And we also, the school board had to check the cameras, the videos to make sure.
I remember that. It was in the media.
It was a mess.
They went there. She's having sex at midcourt. She's having sex on the football field, on the 50, every yard stripe, up and down the field. She's having sex in classrooms, all of which was completely false.
Appalling allegations that were completely false and able to be proven.
But your life now was in a paper bag and somebody was shaking it up.
Yes.
How did you react to that at home? How about your mom? How about relationships with men? How did that affect it?
When you read stuff about yourself, people were going on that website saying how fat and ugly, I was a whore, calling me all kinds of names. And, the physical aspect of me, okay, I can take that. I have, tough skin. But it was, being called a slut and saying that I was, this person that I was not. And I literally broke down, threw up, lost 10 pounds. I don't have 10 pounds to lose. I missed school. I had to go in front of my classroom, and from the superintendent's standpoint, they wanted me to sit down to my class and explain to them that I don't have 2 STDs. So
really,
in front of my class, had to tell these 15-year-old
Wait a minute,
kids.
the superintendent, how old are your kids?
My kids are 15.
15. You were going to sit down in the classroom and tell the boys and the girls in your class that you don't have
that I don't
STDs.
have 2 STDs. Yes.
Did you do that?
Yes, I did.
Wow.
It was extremely heart-wrenching and overwhelming, and they're very judgmental, and I knew that going ahead, but they all knew about this website. They were all getting on thedirty.com. It had to be blocked from the entire school district so people would not get on there. I had a smart board. Kids would pull it up and put it on the smart board so everybody could see that, their teacher had 2 STDs and had sex in the classroom. Completely false statements. I begged him. I believe I begged him over 30 times, and through correspondence, through email, different types of ways of getting a hold of him. And finally, he said he wasn't going to. And I said, last time I had Eric send him a letter, if you do not remove these posts, we have to file litigation against you. Yeah. And I didn't want to. I had no intention of filing a lawsuit. I didn't want to go forward. If he would have taken him down, this would be over.
But he kept him up for like 9 months, and probably he was getting off on the fact you were begging him to take him down. That probably got him off and made him happy in a sick way.
I was literally begging, please, in my emails, please, 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 please take this down. I was explaining this is not true. I don't know how else to tell you. I'll send you medical records. This is absolutely not true. And he would not take him down. So we ended up filing a lawsuit. I didn't get into the legalities of everything, but we had a court date August 25th, 2010, around 9-10 months later. And after the default judgment was awarded is when he decided to take my post down.
I have this report from Eric Dieters that says on August the 26th, 2010, it was finally removed, and it was up since October of 2009. So we're talking about roughly about 10, 11, 9, 10 months, it was up.
And he says he gets about 80,000 hits a day, I believe. So if you put that on a realm, this much bigger scale that people are visiting his site and seeing these things being said about me, it was extremely damaging to my reputation.
So in your profession, in classrooms, I can't imagine why the superintendent would have a female teacher in front of 14 and 15-year-olds talking about sexually transmitted. But in that juvenile environment, this had to be the biggest thing in school. It had to go like a wildfire everywhere. And how did you function? How did you go to the cafeteria? How did you go to the library? How every day do you stand in front of that class? How'd that happen?
It was difficult to discuss when, you're trying to teach the kids an English lesson, and then my personal life got thrown into it. And my mom, I believe she was overheard saying in the Dateline episode that I'm a good actress, meaning that when you go to work, you have to leave your personal life at home. You can't come in and crying. I mean, I was devastated at home, and I was on depression and anxiety medication from it. I was trying to deal with it the best I could at the school atmosphere, but at home I was completely broken down.
And Sarah Jones, it isn't just your mother. Wasn't she the principal of one of the schools?
Yes. Very well respected.
And she had spent her life in education.
Yes.
How was she affected by Dirty.com? What kind of life did she have for those 10, 11 months?
Well, if you can imagine, I don't have kids yet, but to watch your child cry day in, day out, begging somebody to please just take this down. She sent emails. She sent her own requests. She would get on the website, and you have to read these things about her daughter. When I hurt, she hurts. So she was really devastated too, and was just begging him, hoping that he would take it down. And she was completely against the lawsuit.
She said, don't fight, because if you file the lawsuit, all of a sudden, what happened last week? It's in the papers every day. It's on radio every day. It's on. You can't go anywhere. You can't go shopping at Remke Biggs. Wherever you go, and there's there's Sarah Jones.
We filed under Jane Doe originally because I did not want people to know that that I was the one that was filing. I wanted people to I wanted to fight up against him, but to have courage to be one person against an entire website. He calls the dirty army. People getting on there, they don't have to put their name to it. It's he says he compares his site to Facebook. But if you're on Facebook and you make a comment, your name goes with it. On his site, it's a complete anonymous posting. You can say whatever you want. You can make libel comments, whatever you want to say, you can do, and you don't have to be held accountable for that. And that is absolutely not right.
So Sarah Jones, for those 9 or 10 months when this was posted with 80,000 visitors a day, the owner, the developer of Dirty.com knew factually that what was up and what was posted was false and defamatory.
Yes, according to me telling them that it was false.
And
yes.
Anything you wanted me to prove, if you want to send me medical, he doesn't care about it. He don't care about that.
No.
He just wanted to have the fun of going after an attractive young woman who's a Bengal cheerleader and a teacher. That's what he wanted.
And and after I fought it, after the lawsuit was filed, it was nonstop. It's like taunting now. I've been posted over 50 times on that website with different pictures. Of course, now it's a little bit different situation with my mugshot and with all those, with all the other stuff that came about. But it's brutal. And I get on there constantly, and it's still so devastating. I just want to be left alone. That's all I want from this lawsuit is I want to be left alone from him. I just want him to leave me alone.
And if they offer sufficient compensation, I talked to your fine attorney, Eric Dieters, if they offer sufficient compensation, you're more than willing to settle for sufficient money.
Oh, absolutely. This myth about $11 million that I'm suing for $11 million is completely false. The $11 million came from this default judgment that we got. Is what happens is when you get compensatory damages, Judge Bertelsmann, Mr. Dieters, and myself, we came up with $1 million, and then you can do times 10 punitive. Came up with the $11 million. I never asked for $11 million, nor did I ever expect $11 million.
Whatever's reasonable compensation, you're more than willing to settle, because if he's allowed for 8, 9, 10 months to take your life, put it in a paper sack, and shake it up every day, there ought to be some kind. I'm not saying once or twice. If it was up for a day or two and you say, "Oh, I'm sorry, I apologize, it won't happen again," and post that, you're fine. Mm-hmm. But this went on and on and on. Up to this point, you were married for a short period of time, but the sex with Cody did not start until October of 2011.
Correct.
Which was well after all these events had taken place.
2 years passed. I mean, they had filed, or they posted October of 2009. The stuff with Cody didn't happen until October 2011. Yes, of course it was wrong. I was a teacher and what I did was wrong. But just because what I did was wrong does not excuse what they did 2 years prior to my life.
And you're paying your price for what was wrong.
Absolutely. I've had my consequences. I've learned a lot through this whole experience. I don't ever get to teach again, which I shouldn't be able to. I have different plans now. What I did was absolutely wrong. I lied to the police. I lied to my parents. I lied to a lot of people. But that does not excuse what Nick Ritchie has done to my life and on a bigger scale, what he does to a lot of people. This is not about me. This is not about what he has done to me. It's about what he does to people. He puts people on blast. He is the person that judges these people, posts pictures, false information, and then is not held accountable because he hides behind the Communications Decency Act, which is, again, his site is nothing like Twitter, YouTube, Facebook. It's completely different.
Do you think the fragile emotional condition you were in, and you mentioned some of the medications the doctors put you on, did that play a role in you choosing to have sex with a student?
I'm not going to make excuses for what I did because regardless of, whether you're on medicine or depressed, there is absolutely no excuse to cross that line and sleep with a student. But I fell in love with Cody, and I'm still currently in love with him. We're a couple. We're dating, plans on getting married, and in the future. And I made a mistake, and sometimes you do that for the person you love, and I did. And I can't sit here and say that it was worth it. I lost a lot through my choices, and again, I'm suffering my own consequences. The only person that I've hurt in my criminal case is myself. Nick Ritchie, in this case, has hurt several people. So everybody is so focused on what I've done wrong. But my criminal case was over in October, and I've paid my consequences. And this is about what he did wrong now.
All right, let's take a short break. I'm going to delay the Stooge Report about 15 minutes. I want to spend time with you at trial.
Okay.
What happened with the verdict? I believe it was 8-2, which is in the two jurors. I also have a couple posts here from jurors who talked about them wanting to hug you. They felt very, having actually heard the case.
Right.
As opposed to the rest of us, they get snippets here and there. They actually sat there for 3 days and heard the case, but they're very, shall we say, on your side in this. So when we continue, we're going to talk about your relationship now with Cody, what's going on with Dirty.com, what does the future hold, and more. My guest for the next 15 or 20 minutes will be Sarah Jones on News Radio 700 WLW.